DNVR Broncos live coming to you from Studio A here at the DNVR Bar and presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And today, the A stands for another. Do they need another quarterback?
Another for what the A stands for.
Oh.
Oh, no, wait. Maybe it was again last week.
That was again. It was again.
Really, you could just keep repeating those.
I could.
It's true. It's true. Again, another.
The A stands for again. Still just talking Broncos.
And you know, it would work for another draft this week. Let's go. I'm fired up.
Yay.
Oh, no. Is it because they don't have a first and a second round pick?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's so anticlimactic.
I think they're going to make it more interesting than it seems on the surface.
There could be a climax then?
Oh, there's going to be a climax
Let's
in this.
go.
Yeah, Sean
Wow.
Payton and George Paton are going to make sure a climax happens with this draft.
No more anticlimactic draft.
Wow. That could be taken many ways, but I won't
certainly
take
can,
it
yep.
any of the other ways other than, all right, let's see what happens here. Okay, so the topic today revolves around the quarterback position, which is funny because in years past, damn near every show in the offseason revolved around the quarterback position. In this offseason, very few of our shows have revolved around the quarterback position. Because what can you really say about it?
We had a couple weeks of Stidham in there.
Weeks?
Yeah, definitely not.
No,
weeks.
because I remember people saying, how are you guys still talking about Stidham? Remember that one?
I think
That
that
was
was
like
just
the
like the
second
second
show.
show. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Felt like forever.
It's crazy because what we've said all there is to say about the Broncos quarterback, which is he used to be great. He was terrible. We'll see what happens. Like you can't. You obviously look at Sean Payton. You're like, hopefully that helps.
Yep.
Then you look at Sean Payton's absolute refusal to say anything nice about Russell Wilson. You're like, well, that doesn't seem great.
Yep.
We've been through it all, but we haven't done that many shows just about what's going to happen here. And so I'm excited to talk about this one because I think it's a very legitimate question, which is, should the Broncos be looking for a diamond in the rough quarterback in this draft?
And the answer is absolutely. Absolutely, they should be looking for that. It's just, what do they want to invest in order to try to find that? Do they want to try to trade up if one of the top 4 quarterbacks falls? Very, 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 very unlikely. But that's, part of the conversation. I think George and Sean have to have that conversation really quickly. Or is it someone falls to 67 that they view as more of a second-round guy, and it's like, oh, wow, what kind of a steal for us? Or is it, with their 6th-round pick, their last pick in the draft, they just kind of take a flyer. But with Russell Wilson being a question mark in Sean Payton's eyes after last year, you have to be looking for that quarterback of the future.
I would say no. Wow. You've already got 2 on the roster. I don't want to carry 3 quarterbacks. Like, this roster is already going to be pretty tight, which is crazy considering they only have 5 draft picks. Like, I put out like the tweet from the Broncos account, like, drop your mock drafts here, and there's some that are like 10 picks. And it's like, oh, that's sick. And I was like, I just went through and like, who would I cut at this point before the draft? It's tough already. You throw 10 more guys in there, which is crazy. All of a sudden, you're making some crazy decisions. 5, that's enough. Like, don't waste an extra roster spot on a guy who wouldn't see the field. Like, if you don't have Russell Wilson, it's Jarrett Stidham. I think it's pretty much as simple as that. Like, I don't need a guy who, like, oh, there might be some potential there, and we'll see it. If Russ can't play and Stidham can't play, then he gets an opportunity for, like, the second half of that game before one of them's back.
I look at Russell Wilson himself, and that's where I say the answer is yes. The Seahawks went out and paid huge money to Matt Flynn, but they said, hey, look, we're not 100% sure that this is the answer to our quarterback situation long term, so let's take a flyer on this guy who was really good in college, but is a little bit undersized, this, that, and the other thing that's going to hold him back from getting drafted. And how'd that work out for him? Amazingly. Right. In fact, it worked out faster than they could have ever dreamed. Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback by week 1. So when I look at this, I look at these guys who could fall into the 3rd round and beyond, and I see some guys with Russell Wilson-esque potential. You start with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Super electric with his feet, has a great arm, very successful in college. I would love to have him on the roster just in the off chance that he takes his game up another level, turns out to be a baller. Guy we talked about last week, Jake Haener. a guy who I absolutely loved. He has so much heart that it honestly cost him in college because he kept getting hurt.
Yeah.
Lays it all on the line on every single play. And then the last one I would point to is maybe the most interesting one, and that's Stetson Bennett.
Oh, wow.
A 2-time national champion. I mean,
It's true.
sure, not tall, doesn't necessarily have a rocket arm, but damn it if he didn't make it work in college against the best competition.
All he does is win. No matter what.
And would you be shocked if he came into the NFL and was good?
No, I wouldn't be. Just because, like you said, he didn't put up 50 points a game at Washington State against Pac-12 defenses. Sorry,
Whoa.
Ryan. Yeah, I don't mean to be. He did it against the SEC defenses.
Yeah.
And surrounded by NFL talent, sure, but he was still able to do it.
And all I'm saying is I'm willing to throw a flyer out on one of these guys and take the chance that they blow up. They all obviously have their flaws. That's why they're going to
Right.
be available in the mid rounds of the draft. And I'd like to see what they look like in an NFL uniform.
And to me, Ryan, I agree with everything that you're saying about taking a flyer. And Henry, you talk about the difficult cuts. Until you have your quarterback solidified, I have no problem keeping 3 guys. Who are you going to cut that's going to hurt you at safety, at any position? I'm fine with it. I mean, throw a name out there, and I would rather have the potential for a quarterback to become my future guy, knowing that those odds are probably pretty darn slim. Getting one in the 3rd, specifically 4th, 5th, and 6th, but it's still a chance there. And also, I think a couple of guys that we may talk about today have a chance to not just be the 3rd quarterback on the roster, but have a chance to actually have packages made for them. And I think that's something with Sean Payton specifically, where you got to kind of look beyond just like, okay, is he going to be the franchise quarterback? 95% of the teams, if you're not going to be the starting quarterback, you're not going to play at all. Except for Sean Payton. He's one of them where he is going to get creative and say, you do this thing well, yeah, I don't mind pulling Russell Wilson off the field. I mean, especially from the lack of confidence we've seen from Sean and Russ this offseason, but even with Drew Brees. He was taking Drew Brees to give the ball to Taysom Hill. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Oh my gosh. With his athletic ability, Sean Payton would absolutely make a package for him. We know the Broncos met with Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford's not going to be the guy who comes in and is the future starting quarterback, but
Has a rocket.
Yeah, he has a rocket. Maybe, he doesn't mind running into guys. He could kind of be that Taysom Hill. You look at some other guys and you can say, okay, well, maybe they're not actually trying to draft the future quarterback, but they do draft a quarterback because of just some traits he brings to the team this year.
Yep, and that's where I could go. Is if you're trying to find the Taysom Hill guy who does all sorts of stuff, I'm down for that. But honestly, like Sean Clifford doesn't get into that category for me. Like I need somebody who can play special teams, and we just haven't seen it from him. Like that's what I'm looking for if you're looking for that role. And so that's where you look at like Jack Coletto, who was on the visit. There's this guy, I can't remember his name. It's a crazy story. I was watching this Emery Hunt video, friend of the pod.
Yep.
And he was just, it was actually like a CBS Sports video. And it's like, okay, who are your guys' combine sleepers? And he goes, and it's just like these random D2 guys. And it goes to like the next guy, and he's like, yeah, so this guy like might slip to the 3rd round, like kind of, those aren't sleepers. But the point is, this D2 guy, he was a part-time quarterback, but he also, like, they put him at receiver, they put him at running back, but he was, like, their best quarterback. He was also their best receiver. And so you just, like, chuck a bomb on the next play, just go play receiver and go catch the touchdown after. I won't find his name.
Yeah, that's important.
Is it Tyson Bagnet from Shepherd?
It could be. I mean, it's one of those where it's like,
Right.
I didn't even know that was a school.
You should. If you can't find the name, I hope the Broncos can.
It's very true.
Ooh, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. But yeah, I mean, somebody like that I'm down for. But again, you need real versatility, especially because this team doesn't have any special teams players. Like that's the biggest problem with carrying a 3rd quarterback is you're already going to be cutting some of your key special teams guys. That part of the game needs to be picked up, and I just don't see how you do it at this point.
See, to me, like a special teamer or a quarterback that could have impact this year or just be a chance at a future quarterback, that's so easy. You go quarterback.
Yeah. I want to point out something that DL said in the comments, which was Stetson, I think he said, I think most quarterbacks could make it work with Georgia's roster. Stetson Bennett did not make it work.
Yeah.
He won back-to-back national championships and threw for 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the national title game. So, it's not like he just survived on Georgia's roster. No, he thrived. He's going head-to-head with Bryce Young and beating him. He did not just make it work. And it's not like those old Alabama teams that were just like handing the ball off to Mark Ingram.
Right.
And it's like, who was the quarterback? Like, it was probably even before AJ McCarron, or was it AJ McCarron?
That was one of them,
Yeah. And it's like, they just have to hand it off a bunch and then hit a play action pass once in a while. No, Georgia's spreading it out 5 wide, a bunch of the time and slinging it. So I like taking flyers on guys who were beasts in college and might have, depending on the position, but might have a little bit less athletically, especially at quarterback, than I would taking a flyer on a guy who did nothing in college, but, he's big and fast and strong.
So I think there's some different categories that we need to view these guys. And I think Stetson Bennett, crazy enough, character concerns. I shouldn't say crazy enough. I just thought he was this leader at Georgia. Now character concerns, specifically with some things this offseason that happened, where teams are thinking he might be an undrafted free agent. So you're talking about Stetson Bennett being the Broncos' 6th round pick, or maybe they, trade to get in the 7th round, or an undrafted guy there who, you're really just taking a flyer on him. There's some other guys. Jake Haener could be one of those guys. He also may go day 3 potentially. And it's easy to just look at who Sean Payton's worked with in the past, but Jake Haener, undersized guy, very accurate, wins from the pocket. Drew Brees comparison there, so you kind of connect some dots there. And Ryan, everyone loves Jake Haener. It's just the injuries, it's just the size that are questions there. People are also comparing him to Gardner Minshew. Obviously, that's a good backup who you feel comfortable with playing. And then there's some other guys that kind of fall into that category. A Tanner McKee from Stanford, the win from the pocket. So you're like, okay, that's something Sean Payton can work with. But he's 6'6".
Yep.
So you're talking about the opposite, the physical tools.
Davis Mills reincarnated.
Yeah, and Davis Mills has been good, for
what
who he was. So
that first season he was incredible. Last year he sucked.
Right. But where you drafted him,
yeah,
you're satisfied with that. So these are some of the late round guys. Another one just to keep an eye on: Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback from Purdue, scored very much a pocket passer. Scored incredibly high on the S2 test. Very much high football IQ. Those are kind of the things that I like to associate with Sean Payton and what he looks for in his quarterback. And then maybe one more in terms of the Taysom Hill can do a little more. Max Duggan. Now, I don't think you're putting him out there on special teams, but he can do more than just, and I think he would be asked to do more, maybe more of a Taysom Hill role than just a traditional quarterback.
Yeah.
I like Max Duggan.
Yeah.
But again, there's only, what I want is somebody you can just put out there with Russell Wilson. That's my line. I guess special teams was one way to put it, but you can put them both out there and not be like, wait, what the hell are you doing? And so that's where...
not in the backfield, you're talking, or
anywhere.
Not next to
if you want to put him at running back, if you want to put him at tight end, you want to put him at receiver. But again, we're talking Taysom Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
There's two or three guys in the draft who you hope could be that guy, and they're probably going undrafted anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's not even one of those people. If he's in the game, he's your quarterback that's going to be doing some running. You're not putting him at tight end.
No.
You could line him up at wide receiver for a trick play.
Right. But it's not
Once a season,
consistent packages for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, am I wrong? Stetson Bennett got arrested for just being drunk in public?
Yeah, and then I think he fought back against the cops as well or something and was screaming at them, and it was a pretty questionable scene on his end.
I watched the video.
Okay, I haven't.
But I don't really remember the detail. But it was one of those where it's like, hey man, we're just trying to help you out, trying to do what's best for you. And it's like, you're trying to effing do what's best for me. You think this is what's effing best for me. Oh, and he's not getting in the car, doing that sort of stuff. So it's a bad look and all that. It's Johnny Manziel type stuff.
Things that guys have done that they will get drafted compared to that.
Yes.
Very true.
Have been drafted.
You are right.
So, and people use the quarterback thing you just can't have that from a quarterback.
Right.
I don't care.
That's fair. It's fair. There is one more guy that his name hasn't even been mentioned, who I'm just all about, Hendon Hooker. Now, maybe it's smart that we haven't spent too much time on him because some people are saying that teams view him as the third best quarterback in the draft. And if that's the case, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 first-round quarterbacks that are being viewed. He's going to be a top 10 pick. So there's a chance that, like, he's gone by pick 5, and it's like, well, okay, of course the Broncos were never going to get him. There's also a chance that teams just are a little afraid of him coming off the ACL, maybe needing a redshirt year, and I think it's kind of silly how much teams hurt players for needing a redshirt year, but if that's the case, he could fall until pick 67 of the Broncos. There's a chance the Broncos wouldn't even have to trade up to get him, but Hendon Hooker, you're not trading into the first round to go get him, just because the Broncos, that would be so much draft capital to go give. But if he falls to you at 67, if he's there at 50, I just think his opportunity to become the guy is way too high for you to pass on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and Stetson Bennett has the same thing going against him, but it's a very different situation where Stetson Bennett isn't viewed as a high-round draft prospect, and he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker is being viewed as a guy who, if he hadn't suffered that injury, might have been a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Probably.
But he has... That's what stops me from saying I would take him in the top 10 is the fact that he's 25. He's going to need a redshirt year. And then, how long does it really normally take for a quarterback to catch on and pop in the NFL? Year 2, maybe year 3. So he's 28 years old by the time he settles into the NFL. That's tough. But if it's a third-round draft pick and you're taking a flyer because you are worried about your quarterback situation moving forward, and you think, okay, well, if it doesn't work for Russ this year, then he'll be healthy for next year, and then we can just roll with him, and it'll be cheap because we're going to have to do all these cap gymnastics. I like it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I do think, though, that someone else will say, hey, quarterbacks can play till they're 40 now.
And that's exactly why age doesn't bother me with the quarterback position as much. You're right. It's not ideal that he would be 27, 28 by the time that he's hitting his stride in the NFL. But considering that he's not going to be a running back or a safety where at 31, you're like, oh, geez, I'm concerned about him. You'd at least have 8 years until he's, 35, 36. So that's why I wouldn't be concerned about it.
And the big thing is quarterbacks, like your window's the 4 years. Like the window's that 4-year contract. After that, again, I brought up over and over again, unless the guy is one of the best ever, unless you have a Hall of Famer at quarterback, you're not winning a Super Bowl. And so that's when you're losing one of those years at the start. And that's also part of the reason why I wouldn't start the clock on these guys until after you're ready to commit and say, okay, day 1, you're on the field. We have a year to get you ready, and 3 years is our window. And so like with a guy who's already missing a year, it fits the Broncos' timeline better just because they don't need him this year. I mean, whoever it is isn't going to see the field this year. But, I mean,
that's
you could justify it. Yeah, but I mean, you have Stidham too, though, is the thing.
Yeah. But what if they just beat out Stidham in training camp?
You don't give a guy $5 million. Like, they obviously like him,
I think Jarrett Stidham is the equivalent of a 4th-round quarterback or something like that, where it's like, we really like your upside. We're going to take a flyer on you, and it's actually going to be like a significant enough investment where people are like, wow, like me, I was shocked. $5 million for Jarrett Stidham. But I also think that Sean may say, okay, I got my flyer in free agency. Now let's go get a flyer in the draft. Especially if he came out and was gushing over Russell Wilson or saying good things about him, then it would be like, well, maybe you don't need these kind of flyers, or maybe you only need one of them. But just the fact there's been no gush over Russ from Sean Payton, why not have 2 flyers?
Yeah, I mean, if someone tells you can get $1 million if you hit a bullseye on a dartboard, and they say you already have 2 darts in your hand, for a small investment, you can have a 3rd dart. You're taking the 3rd dart.
Yeah. I think
he's
so.
He's just not going to see the field, though. That's the tough part.
Unless
He's burning
he
a
does.
year. But he just won't.
Are you talking about Hendon or any
Anyone.
quarterback?
Any of them.
Any quarterback?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what people were saying about Russell Wilson.
But, I mean, that's different because there was only one guy in front of him. Like
There's
to
really
me,
there might be 0 guys in front of this person.
there's 2. There's 2
Only
right there.
because they're there.
Exactly. Right there.
Neither
there
one
was,
of them have earned anything.
Well, that's the same thing as like Matt Flynn had earned even less. Not than Stidham. But, I mean, that's
It's pretty close, actually, with Stidham.
It's really
It is
true.
kind of close, isn't it?
My whole thing is neither one of those guys has a stranglehold on their position.
Yeah,
I think Stidham absolutely does on the number 2 job.
Wow, I don't.
Like,
I
just
don't
with that much
think
money.
Sean Payton operates that way.
The comment section's chiming in on this. So yeah, here if we could get a poll, do you think Jarrett Stidham owns? Is that the right way to put it? Owns the number 2 job?
Yeah.
Owns the number 2 job because Ryan, I'm with you. I don't even think that Russ has a strong grasp on the number 1 job. Now he does because of his contract, but in terms of when training camp comes around, if Jarrett Stidham's great and Russell Wilson's bad, I think there's
Sean Payton will start. Jarrett
I think
Stidham.
there's a 5% chance right now that Jarrett Stidham's starting week 1, not just at any time, that week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it right around there as well. Like, I've already envisioned, I've had like daydreams, not in a positive way, so maybe it's a day nightmare, of Sean Payton being like, we're going to give Jarrett the start in game 2 of the preseason. We think he's earned it. We want to see what he
Yeah.
can do with the first team. Like, I could just like see this whole thing unfolding.
That is wild.
To me, Zach kind of hit the nail on the head with like Jarrett Stidham is that guy. Like he is the 3rd, 4th round pick. Like that's
Don't associate my name with that statement.
No.
that's what you said. You said he's basically the 4th round pick. Like if
No, I think that's like the investment the Broncos made. If they do a 4th round pick investment, it's like similar to Jarrett
Oh,
Stidham's
okay.
contract.
See, because I was thinking like that's just kind of
That was your flyer.
yeah,
Okay.
like he is the guy who like if Russ doesn't work out, because again, like you're just not getting all those guys on the field. Like if they had Josh Johnson, I'd be saying absolutely draft a quarterback. But I think they've already kind of gotten their high upside backup.
I understand what you're saying, and certainly I think Sean does view Jarrett as a high upside backup. I just think that he could say, until I have my quarterback. I mean, even when they had Drew Brees, they were looking at Patrick Mahomes. They were looking at some of these other quarterbacks starting in like, I think reports came out in 2015, 2016 that they were kind of looking at first-round guys, and obviously they never made a huge jump, but yeah, Drew Brees throwing for 5,000 yards every single year, and they were still looking at guys. And I don't know what their backup quarterback situation was like at that point, but I just think that you can't sleep. And I like that we disagree. I just think that a quarterback is absolutely on the table, not necessarily with that 3rd round pick, but at some point in the draft, I think there's going to be someone where we're saying, okay, here's Sean kind of taking another flyer on a high upside guy.
Yep.
And now, where would DTR be? Is he your 3rd round pick?
No.
He's probably off the board.
Oh, you think so?
That's what it seems. I mean, that's what Gray was talking about.
There's a
it.
big range when you when you look and ask
The
people.
Draft Network has him as like a decently high prospect, I think. One of those.
And then
How old is he?
some people also view him as like,
Not
oh
as
no,
old as
he's
you'd
like a
think.
6th round pick. One of the interesting or fascinating things about him, and I think why this conversation's there, is he
23.
was not viewed very highly before last season. Like there were so many questions about him in this last season. He just takes off and then continues to take off as the season progresses. So that's why I think some team is going to say, man, this guy's skyrocketing. Let me take a flyer on him. But other teams are probably so different on him and saying, whoa, he's too shaky for me.
Yep.
I always loved him when he was at UCLA. I was, perpetually jealous of their quarterback situation.
Not anymore.
The one thing was he would just randomly make like a really bad decision.
Yeah.
He kind of got rid of that last year. Now
Exactly.
it's still reared its ugly head a couple times in big games. But other than that, like he kind of got rid of the one thing that that made him shaky. He is a little bit undersized, all that stuff, but he's a baller.
Like he was a really big disappointment for a while.
Yeah.
Like UCLA fans are saying like, I don't know why they're still rolling with that sort of stuff. But that's what it was like the first 3 years, because he's also a runner, obviously.
Yeah.
And so he'd fumble a lot too. So his turnover numbers would just be insane. Like just crazy for the first 3 years. And then the 4th year, he was like solid. And then this year he was really good. But I mean, 5-year starter is pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things you like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the appeal.
And also working with Chip Kelly. Now, people may think that some teams may view that as purely like just a college guy, and you can't transfer that over. You could say he did work in the NFL. Another thing with him is 27 passing touchdowns this past year, 12 rushing touchdowns. Just shows how dynamic he is and multiple ends, and that's just... He's the guy where if you're saying a guy that can see the field this year along with Russell Wilson, and then also the upside. I mean, Dre talks about him. Teams are potentially going to view him as the next Jalen Hurts with like, wow, he had production in college, obviously not as much production as Jalen Hurts, but he's going to continue to develop his game in the NFL.
Yeah. Another thing is like Jalen Hurts just has the build too.
I was going to say.
Like he's stacked. Like he looks like a quarterback. He's like 6'3" or whatever. DTR maybe a little over 6'1",
over 500 pounds, or squats over 500 pounds.
DTR's I think just over 200 pounds
6'1",
as well.
205.
Yeah, so you're not certainly.
He's kind of like a taller Kyler.
Yeah,
not quite the same arm talent.
Some people would say those couple inches are huge, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I figured it's Cephas Johnson III. Everybody knows that.
Where did he play?
Was I thinking? Southeast Louisiana. But yeah, it's like they ran 2 quarterbacks, but he wound up with let's see, there it is. 64.5% completions, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He was also their number 2 receiver. But they don't have the receiving yards on this. 611 rushing yards.
Wow.
8 touchdowns. But it's crazy. 6'5", 223, ran a 4.6 40.
Damn.
He's like a freak. Like if you're looking for Taysom Hill, like those are guys I get hyped about. Him or Jack Coletto from Oregon State, and Jack Coletto had no talent.
He is Taysom Hill.
Exactly.
like carbon copy.
Yeah, no, he's just like, because he played linebacker the last year too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he played more linebacker than anything on offense.
That's wild.
Yeah, and again, like not really all that talented. You never look at him and say like, oh wow, it just he looks like he's playing with children. Like he's just like a massive man. He's like 250 pounds. There's like any short yard situation, it's just like go straight ahead, and he just like 2 hands on it.
Yep.
Like this massive fullback does nothing but still picks up like 5 yards because nobody can bring him down.
And there you go.
Well,
that could be your tight end, fullback,
Exactly.
quarterback, wildcat.
To me, it's crazy that every team at every level hasn't tried to get a guy like this.
Yeah.
Because you'll see teams line up to get 1 yard with a quarterback, a fullback, and a running back trying to block it up. Or you just direct snap it to this guy and you put 7 offensive linemen on the line of scrimmage and he just looks for the little gap and, punches through it.
Did the NFL at the past owners meetings outlaw the Jalen Hurts scrum play?
I don't think so, no.
Sean Payton said he's going to do that if the NFL...
He's going to do it every game.
Yes, if the NFL doesn't... there's another owners meeting coming up next month where they could vote against doing that, but as long as that's still on the table, find your guy to do that. And so I think Sean Payton's going to be looking for everything like that. So I certainly think that, Henry, guys like that where there's no shot of them becoming your future quarterback, but they're still kind of playing the quarterback role, those are definitely guys to keep an eye on. And now they may be an undrafted guy, but I would be blown away in 1 week from now if the Broncos haven't added another quarterback.
Definitely. I mean, you just need another camp arm. You got Gorentano, but you probably want 4. And again, that's what is so appealing is nobody in their right mind is making Jack Coletto a draft pick. That's insane. He does nothing. He's just really, really big. And so when Sean Payton gets to call these guys after the draft and say, hey, I'm looking for my Taysom Hill, you interested? You're picking up every single one of these guys. Like nobody's going anywhere else if they're that mold of player because it's Sean Payton and you know that he wants somebody just like you.
Yep, it's true. So we've had some disagreement in this first segment. I think Ryan and I are going to have a disagreement with our next conversation from a little tease that I had with him earlier. We're going back and forth. Yeah, that's what I need. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery, who are older than us. Breckenridge Brewery is the oldest thing on this set right now, guys. 32 years old, just edges us, and they make delicious beer for over 3 decades. They have mastered it, and it is Avalanche Amber Ale season this week, maybe next month. With the Avs doing well, what do we have?
How old do you think that Broncos pennant is?
Oh, 90, maybe even older.
32.
Yeah. You're probably
close.
right. You're probably right. So you're right. Maybe it's the second oldest thing on this set.
32, that'd be like 1991.
90, yeah.
What do we think?
So it's right around there.
It's probably older.
It's probably
older.
80s.
Good. And it's been sitting in the sun, which
the
beer hasn't.
99, we're good.
99. Yep. With the Avs, it would be younger than us. But check out Breckenridge Brewery Strawberry Sky season as well. We got some snow.
I drank a bunch of Palisade peaches on Saturday at the tailgate. They were hitting great.
Even in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got that summer shandy special going on. I've had so many shandies this
Tell
weekend.
us about the summer shandy special.
It's only $6. And a happy hour half off.
Damn.
So they do the happy hour before the Nuggets game. So both Nuggets games, I was here just pounding shandies. Got made fun of by RG because he was like, "No, you shouldn't drink shandies," because as he drinks like a nice brown Avalanche. I was like, you know what? Every beer is for everybody. So shut up.
Yep.
great.
Shandies are delicious. I'm on your side. Hank.
Yeah, shandies are great.
And so are Palisade Peaches.
I'm all shandied up still.
So check them out, breckbrew.com to check out the Breck locator, or you can come down here for happy hour.
Also, Volo Sports. I'm making my debut in the bowling league tonight. Well, 7 p.m. first roll. Avs puck drop at 8, so I'm thinking I can get in there, roll a 300, make it back to the bar by puck drop. I can't wait. Can't wait.
What a great back-to-back.
Yeah, it should be awesome.
Yeah.
So Volo has a league for everything. It's actually incredible. Whatever you're interested in doing this summer, Volo has something for you. And the best part is you can use the code DNVR10 to save $10 off your fee when you sign up to join a Volo league, whether it's softball, kickball, bowling, bags, anything. They've got it for everyone. So join a Volo league and use the code DNVR for $10 off your sign-up fee.
All right, let's jump into our player profile series leading up to the draft. We're going to get to know like 20 guys in depth before the draft kicks off on Thursday. And, of course, Broncos pick on Friday. And today, we're talking about tight end university.
Wow.
Henry, why don't you tell us
we're talking
him?
about Sam LaPorta, 6'3", 245. It's weird because I don't know. This is actually a weird draft for Iowa players because typically you think of Iowa players as it's Iowa. You know exactly what every position
Trenches,
does.
big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
slow.
their tight end, he's a receiver.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really a blocking tight end, which just feels wrong. I guess Noah Fant was the same way, and you see some of that. But yeah, despite popular opinion, Sam LaPorta, he's a guy who catches the ball, and that's why he probably might be off the board by the time the Broncos pick.
Wow.
He could be. It'll be right around there. I think a lot of those tight ends could go in a bunch of different orders. But if he is there, he could definitely be a target for the Broncos. Not blazing fast. That's not really the strength. It's more the get open underneath. But again, like every tight end 40 time is like 4, 5, 8. Wasn't that like what Albert O was? It's like the fastest.
Alberto and Noah Fant were 4.4. Yep, 4.49 and 4.50.
There
but
you
then
go.
Greg Dulcich around like the 4.68, I think.
Exactly.
And who did we talk about on Friday was also the exact
Dulcich
same.
was 4.70, and the guy we talked about the other day was 4.69.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, like you got like kind of this slim range. Nobody runs more than like a 4.9, and the 4.8 guys are slow. And I think he was somewhere more or mid 4.6s. I should have pulled it up. But again, receiving tight end can get open underneath. There you go.
I love this guy. And the reason is because I watched every Iowa game this year.
Yikes.
Wait, why? Oh,
That
Spence?
sounds awful.
Because I'm just a sicko.
Yeah. That you got to put yourself through some pain to stick through every Iowa game.
Not if you bet unders.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
So I just got such a kick out of betting the under on Iowa and just like watching their incompetent offense.
They're probably like
do
the Broncos,
absolutely nothing.
where the under just hit all the time.
Oh, it hit every game until
Yeah.
they started setting it in like the 20s.
Wow.
So I was having a blast betting unders on Iowa. The one guy who would make it difficult for them to punt after 3 plays every single time was Sam LaPorta. He is a fantastic route runner for a tight end and just knows how to use his body to get into guys, how to, box out linebackers when he turns around on those little inside hooks. Really, good at the top of his routes, especially, out-breaking routes, like got open on a ton of outs. And so every time on third down when I was trying to get Iowa to punt, I would just be screaming at, Purdue's defense, like, cover LaPorta. It's the only guy that could get open. And so I was really impressed with him. Like, the stats, 58 receptions for 657 yards and 1 touchdown are not impressive. unless you watched Iowa.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you're like, wait,
right.
that might be 2/3 of their entire offense the
Exactly.
whole season.
Yeah, I mean, for any college player, but especially a tight end, especially at Iowa, he had over 100 catches his final 2 seasons. The
That is
production
crazy.
is off the charts. Not only 4 touchdowns, not impressive. Remember, Noah Fant
They don't
was just
score
like,
touchdowns.
right, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So I'm giving him credit for what he did at Iowa. But I don't disagree with what either of you guys said. But viewing this from a Broncos perspective, it does not make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me with either the 3rd round picks, with really even the 4th round pick. I mean, if you want to go 5th or 6th, sure. But like Henry said, he's certainly not going to be there in the 5th or 6th. And to me, this is Greg Dulcich. I mean, he is a receiving tight end. It's funny because we talked about how tight ends are always listed at 6'5", 250, except for Sam LaPorta. They can't even sell him on 6'5", 250 because when you look at him, he's like a big slot receiver. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He plays the inside of the field really well. He does have good speed for the middle of the field, good route runner, good feel for the field as well. But come on, you drafted Greg Dulcich last year. So unless they want to trade Dulcich for a 4th and then use one of their 3rds on him, it doesn't make sense to me. He's not a dominant blocker. He's not going to be a dominant blocker in the NFL. So the match here, it does not make sense.
So Sarah Bettinger tweeted this out, a quote from Mike Kliss on Broncos targeting tight end. He said, "I'd put tight end in the mix. It's not that they're not a big fan of Dulcich. It's just that Sean Payton has a different idea of what he likes in a tight end. He likes bigger, inline tight ends. I think Sean Payton wants more of a 3-down guy that really gets in there and is a 3rd offensive tackle with hands, more so than he is the guy with curly hair and high shorts."
I mean, what a shot at Nathaniel Hackett right there, because that's what Nathaniel Hackett always talked about with Dulcich, his shorts and his curly hair.
Oh, God, that's bad. And, I mean, the difference is, like, Sam LaPorta wants to block. Like, he tries hard when he blocks.
That's what everyone said about Noah Fant.
Right.
Oh, really? Yeah, see, but it just doesn't work for him. The thing about Dulcich is, like, again, high shorts guy. He's not out there like, oh, I'm going to beat this guy's ass. I'm going to do everything I can. It's like he's not very good at it, and also he doesn't have, like, blocker energy. And so you hope, like, how old is LaPorta at this point? I think he was only there 3 years. Did he play a 4th?
You just think of Iowa football players, and you got to think that they all had their 5th
4
and 6th years.
That, again, you'd think, yeah, so he's 22 still.
Wow.
So, and that's where, I don't know, I'd almost just go after the older tight ends because they hit their prime at like 28 once they're grown men going up against some of these smaller guys. But you do wonder if he can put on another 10, 15 pounds. And I don't know. I'm not willing to give up on him as a blocker. I think he, in the future, could probably hold his own. But that's just based on him wanting to.
Tight end you, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Among Iowa tight ends all time, 1st in catches and 2nd in receiving yards.
That's pretty good.
Pretty damn good, especially when you're talking about not just Noah Fant, who is obviously a 1st-round pick, not just TJ Hawkinson, who was a top 10 pick. Yeah. A top 10
7,
pick.
I believe.
Also, the 2nd best tight end in the NFL right now, and George Kittle.
Yeah.
It's a pretty impressive list, and
Yeah.
then he tops that, and their quarterback, it's not like they came in and had a good quarterback.
Someone's going to get this guy, and I'm not going to be surprised when he's moving the chains on 3rd downs.
Yep.
His feel for the field is really impressive.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Travis Kelce has that really good feel, and obviously he's got that with his quarterback too. But those are the things now, if you're not looking for a freak of an athlete at the tight end position like a Kyle Pitts, you're looking for those things from a tight end. What's their feel like? Are they able to read zones and feel zones well? And Sam LaPorta seemingly does that very well.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Cooper DeJean, who is their, like all-world speedy corner, I'm pretty sure he scored more touchdowns than anyone on offense.
On the defensive side.
Yes.
Wow.
I believe
Is there
it.
another reason that you just happened to bring his name up today?
Yeah, I got him in the Madden
Weird.
draft.
Yes,
Oh.
you did.
I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe Derek took Travis Hunter at number 2. It was one of those things when I traded up, I'm like, obviously I'm trading up to get Travis Hunter because he's my guy.
Yeah.
But if for some reason he leaves me DeJean, I told you guys that
Yeah.
off air.
Yeah,
like,
you
I'll
did.
be
Yep,
stoked.
Yep,
Yeah.
6'2", 210, 95 speed.
Yeah, pretty damn impressive. And I wonder if Travis Hunter didn't go to CU. I think he would have fell to you. Like, I think the reason he was picked ahead of you is because he went to see you. To, like, be like, no, I'm not letting Ryan get his guy.
I kind of thought that he was doing it thinking... I kind of thought that he was doing it thinking I would be so desperate to get him that I would, like, trade him something.
I agree.
And DeJean.
Yep. And he didn't.
No, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, Madden Draft was fun.
That was fun.
Iowa scored 23 touchdowns in 12 games last year.
No, as a team?
Yeah.
Did that count defensive touchdowns?
Yeah.
I swear they had like a defensive touchdown a game, so they might have been close.
That is terrible.
Oh my gosh, that is brutal. No wonder you aren't kidding about the unders.
Oh no, dude, their games were like 10-7.
Oh
week
my
in, week out.
Gosh, that is so brutal.
It was crazy.
Wow.
And their punter was a badass.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet he was. I mean, he got a lot of work in.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was hitting bombs, and then they would just pin him deep and like force him to punt or get a safety or something, and like they kept winning games because they would just get a defensive touchdown and like one good drive.
Oh my gosh.
7 passing touchdowns.
Yike. In 12 games?
13.
13 games. Oh my gosh. And so
Was that 4 to LaPorta?
He had 4 in the past 2 years.
He got 1 last year, but that's 1/7 of their entire.
I mean, that makes it not seem as bad.
Yep.
So
That is true. How good of a blocker was Jimmy Graham? They do. I mean, that has been the Sean Payton type. It's the speed up the seam guy. Like, that is
Or
the biggest thing.
like,
They'll plug him in.
But outside of Jimmy Graham,
the Manhertz guys.
I mean, I
Who
do
was
think
the
for
other
the
big
most
one?
part,
Jeremy
it's,
Shockey, which I guess he did more as a blocker. But again, it was the seam stretching that made his name.
when Sean was, I think it was in the pre-draft meetings or the pre-draft press conference that he was talking about tight ends and said some guys are easy to identify, some are hard because you have to project if they're going to be a good blocker or going to be a good receiver. And then there's the guys like, and he mentioned Jeremy Shockey, like instant top 10 pick because he can just do everything.
Yep. And the other thing is, like, you're going to see 3 different tight ends in every game because that's just what Sean Payton does. And so if you could knock Alberto out of that rotation and put in a Sam LaPorta, that would be awesome.
See, to me, that's not worth the investment then, because if you're going to have Sam LaPorta to be your second receiving tight end, I mean, that's what Alberto could be right now.
Absolutely love if they talked to Albert O and said, you only actually have to run one route all season. And it's straight up the seam. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like if anyone's going to be able to get that from Alberto and not be so set on being like, no, you have to block, you have to do everything until you can see the field, it's going to be Sean Payton. Sean Payton does a great job of saying, you only do this well, we're only going to have you do that.
and if the defense wants to key in on that and sink that linebacker back with him, as he's running up the seam, then you just bring something underneath it.
And that was the point of Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
To do exactly that. And Jeremy Shockey run up that seam. I will say, like I've said this before, so we don't need to dig too deep. I think Alberto's time is kind of come and gone. Like, I think we've seen that there aren't enough strengths to his game to keep him around.
I think if anyone can help it, it's Sean Payton.
Definitely.
Or to help him,
That's
is
definitely
Sean Payton.
true.
And so that's why if they go tight end at any point in this draft, it's going to be someone that is, in my opinion, more well-rounded. Right now they have the pure blocker in Chris Manhertz. They have the more so of a pure receiver in Greg Dulcich. I do think, and as Mike said, I think that it's going to be an all-around guy. It's probably not going to be a great all-around guy because you're not getting him at pick 67 at the earliest. So that's why I don't know if tight end's going to really
He's going to have a high and tight haircut and wear Allen Iverson basketball shorts.
Oh, man, what a dig.
A crazy dig.
Yeah, that is.
You don't have to take digs at FOCO because everything over at FOCO is amazing. We actually, our set is pretty much presented by FOCO. A lot of cool things. You want to get, the mini helmets to have on your desk in your office. They've got that. You want some cool bobbleheads. They've got that as well. We were talking about the, what are they, banners?
Yeah,
The
pennants.
Pennants, yeah, thank you. I knew they weren't banners. Pennants, they've got them there. They've got clothes. They've got it all. So check out our friends over at FOCO. Use that code DNVR to get 10% off your purchase. Also, if you know anyone that's a semi-sports fan and you want to get them a gift, FOCO.
Oh, yeah.
Just go to FOCO. It's easy. And then you also get 10% off without them knowing. So use that promo code DNVR over at FOCO for yourself or for a friend.
I know we have another ad. I think
Shady Rays.
I also think tight end and running back, 2 of your first 3 picks. I wish there was a DraftKings bet. That just came to my mind. But Shady Rays is awesome. Great sunglasses, obviously. We've been wearing them a lot. I keep mine in my car. So you get, I didn't have anything planned for this one.
Well, actually, someone in the comment section helped you out. They said it's clear that Henry got into some shenanigans over the weekend because of his Shady Rays tan.
Really? I can't see that.
See, I can't either. And sometimes it, comes across a little more on the screen than in person. But
I got smoked at the spring game.
Just all the snow.
It was snowing and overcast, and I got sunburnt as hell.
Oh, it's overcast.
Yes, completely overcast.
Oh, yeah, I would have thought you'd been fine.
I didn't even consider sunscreen once at any point during the day, and I've lived here long enough to know that everyone's like, you actually could get more sunburn when it's overcast. But like, it's snowing. I have a hood on.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about the sun, and then we were doing the post-game show, and I was like, man, I look so red. Like, maybe it's just because my face was like cold, and now it's warm.
Yeah.
And then I got home, and I was like, I itched my head, and and you like itch. I was like, no way. I went and looked in the mirror. I was like, I am very sunburned.
Oh, it's definitely still there now.
Yeah. Crazy.
I got home and I was like, wow, this is weird. Like, because my face from there down was red. I don't see it now, but it was red. And I was like, well, maybe it's just a cold or wind burn. Used to get a lot of wind burns up in Montana, especially like all small towns. We went to those swim meets. And once you get past the mountains, it's just like, there's just nothing there for 1,000 miles. So just the wind was crazy.
Or what is it? Don't some people get like the blush when they drink?
Oh, yeah.
So you both could have maybe had that too on Saturday. But I don't think that lasts like 48 hours.
That only happens in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't drinking
that's not something else? Another substance in Boulder?
I'm very sure.
Wow. That Shady Rays is awesome. They'll give you some really cool tan lines. Wow. Maybe next time we need to go through and see like which tan lines from the sunglasses would be ideal. That might be a good way to pick them, especially if people are bad with sunscreen like me. But yeah, polarized sunglasses, you can get 50% off 2 or more pairs if you use the code DNVR. They've been rated 5 stars by more than 250,000 people. If you lose them or break them, you can get a replacement pair with no questions asked. If you just don't like them, you can return them for free within 30 days. Again, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. So go to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Whew, that is a lot of people.
Yes.
Speaking of not a lot, we don't have many likes right now. Hit us with a thumbs up. You can help us out. The chat's been going crazy, but no one's hitting us with a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. Miles, the mascot, would really appreciate it as well on the screen. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or any podcast, hit us with a 5-star review, subscribe. All of that is free, and it really helps us out.
Let's go.
And it's draft week, so we're going to be...
I haven't checked the 5-star numbers a lot recently.
Oh, you want to pull it up?
Get an update on that?
Yeah, and when you're looking at that, let me just give you an idea of what to expect this week from us. So today, tomorrow, Wednesday, excuse me, all normal shows, noon start time. So tune in then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're going to be doing draft specials. So we won't have the shows at noon on Thursday or Friday. Thursday night, right around draft time, so 6 p.m., a little before 6 p.m., we're going to be kicking off, bringing you live coverage throughout the entire first round, whether or not the Broncos make a move. Day 2, we're going to be going live all day 2, so believe it starts at 5, so maybe right around 5, tune in with us. We're going to be going live, and then Saturday, we're going to be giving you the updates with the show right around probably the afternoon, so stay tuned. We're going to have you covered from start to finish of the draft.
It is neck and neck. Apple still with a slight lead at 887 reviews, but Spotify from a huge deficit has come all the way back to bring it within 868 on Spotify. And like we've said all along, Spotify has the tiebreaker because we have 4.9 stars on Spotify, only 4.6 on Apple. So
what is up with Apple people?
Apple has to get them pumping in there to hold off the lead, or else they're going to get passed and maybe never come back.
Wow, and this is the race to 1,000.
It is the race to 1,000.
So if the projections are right, Spotify is going to crush it.
Yes.
Why do we resonate better with Spotify people than Apple? Like, what is...
First of all, Apple has been around a lot longer, so the reviews go all the way back to, like, even before I was on the show.
Okay.
So that's part of it, I think.
Yeah.
And then
Like, is there like a wealth gap or something, or like there's got to be like some group of people.
I would assume there's an age difference.
Oh, there probably is an age difference.
And so that connects better?
I would say Spotify's demo is probably younger.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I've switched teams.
What team are you on?
I'm now on Apple because
Apple Music?
Apple Music, because I know I was Spotify my whole life until like 2 weeks ago, because got like the family plan where I was just added for free, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I get this for free now.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah,
it's so
is
nice,
especially because I never pay for Spotify. So every third song, I'm getting ads.
Oh my god!
Wow.
What?
Oh,
I know.
I
I
haven't
think
been
I'm the
living
only
like
one.
that since junior year of college.
I know, a little embarrassed to say.
Yeah.
I
kind of like having, so like I don't have Apple Music, but I do have Apple Podcasts. But I also listen to certain podcasts on Spotify. I just kind of like mix it up, and all my music is on Spotify.
See, because I have all Apple everything. Like I have iPhone and MacBook and iPad and like 3 HomePods and like the Apple TV's connected to all my TVs.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can just do anything with anything, you're like, hey Siri, do whatever, and it'll just, I don't know. I just stick to Apple because as soon as you bring something else in, it throws everything off.
But Spotify was just in there in this game before that, so I just like win in that, and I'm brand loyal to them forever unless they do something to lose me.
And so far, so good.
So far, so good.
Speaking of brand loyal, should we get into the comment section?
Yeah.
Talk to the people. This one from the count is a.
Before we go, I do have the result of the poll.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see the poll results really quick.
It is.
So this was, does Jarrett Stidham
Own the second.
own the
Own
number?
the backup QB spot. That's how I phrased it.
Yep. Okay.
89% said yes.
Oh.
10% said no.
Wow. the
You can't
people
pay that
agreeing
much
with
money.
you.
Yes, you can.
It's not that. It's 1 year,
mean-
$5 million deal.
I thought it was 2. That was 210.
It's 210,
Oh, you
but
can get out of it?
essentially it's 1 for 5.
I don't know. I'd be curious what other teams are paying their backup quarterback. Because that's got to be top 10. Because there's a few that are like, oh, quarterback competition, we're giving this guy $10 million to be a backup.
Right.
But I would guess a lot of them are on rookie deals or vet mins.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to matter with Sean Payton, though. I think he uses his resource to bring guys in, and then whoever's just better. I think historically you've seen that.
I definitely agree. I just think that they must really like him to give him that contract.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that big of a contract.
Okay.
As it seems on the surface.
Okay.
Okay, so good trivia question coming in from the count. He says, can you give the real first names of Von Miller, Champ Bailey, and TJ Ward?
Von Miller. So that's Vonnie Bavashawn Miller Jr.
It's pronounced Bichon.
Bichon. Oh, you don't say the V?
Yep.
Huh.
But it is.
Champ.
Yep.
Roland?
Ooh, that sounds right.
It is. It is Roland.
You okay?
Yep.
Then who is the other one?
TJ Ward. I knew the first two.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I
Thomas
just guessed
James.
Oh.
that. That's a good question. And Champ is Roland. Do you know Boss's first name? Boss Bailey.
I used to, like 15 years ago.
It's so disappointing that it's not just Boss, because that's like the best first name ever.
I know. It really is.
Bosworth?
It's close to Roland.
Ronald.
Yep. Oh no.
That's
Close.
another. I think they have another brother named Ron.
That's incredible. Rodney.
Oh.
Yep.
Roland, Ronald, and Rodney. I think.
That is incredible. And
By
then
the
give
way,
them all dope nicknames.
The Buffs have 2 brothers on the team now named Champion and Victory Johnson.
Wow.
Which is very much like Champ and Boss Bailey.
Wow, that's so dope.
I know.
I truly love that.
I know. I'm just waiting for the right time to kind of toss that out and see what Allie thinks about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like names that are names, in my opinion. Like even for like animals too. Like I wouldn't name
You
a
like
cat like
human
Bubbles
names?
or something. Yeah.
Wow. Typically, you get like people that say like, I want my, like you're saying, I want my human names, and I
Yeah.
want my pet names. You typically don't get like I want everything human.
You just want like a cat named Greg.
Names are yeah. Like that's a name. Like I don't want to give a name that isn't a name. That's just like something that isn't a name, you know?
So I've never had a dog. Let me think about this. With like a cutesy name. Like,
It's always been human.
Bubbles.
Whiskers,
It's been a
yeah.
human name.
Yeah, it's been something that could at least be like I did have Jazz, but there's a player in the
Jazz,
MLB named Jazz
yeah.
Chisholm.
There you go.
That's incredible.
There you go.
Um,
Spelled the same too. Usually it's not spelled the same.
yeah, I
Wait, how's
haven't
it
had any
spelled?
like
But no,
I had-
Chisholm.
Oh, Chisholm.
The
Oh,
jazz
yeah.
parts, yeah.
I had a Malamute named Rifle.
Wow. A Malamute.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Wow.
His full name was Remington Rifle.
That's a nice name. That's a very nice
Wow.
name.
Yep. He was all like stoic, It
Yeah.
fit him well.
Yeah. A thick boy.
Yep.
Jarrett Stidham is tied for 28th in salaries with Andy Dalton and Marcus Mariota for quarterbacks.
Wow,
Okay.
Mariota.
Kind of interesting.
I would
Yeah.
way much rather have Mariota at that price.
Where is Mariota now?
No idea.
Philly.
Oh,
Philly. Back up. Because did Gardner leave?
Must have.
where's Gardner?
Wow, these backups now are just something else. TJ Ward, what are we thinking? You guys were wrong. One more guess. You're not gonna guess. Think of
Tubby.
think of TD,
Terrell?
Terrell, and then an R.
R.
Wait.
But it was a J.
Yeah,
Oh, it must be a junior.
it's an R. Yeah, you're right. It is a J, but the J isn't
Terrell Raymond
close. Dangerously close. Just cut it.
Ray.
Yep. Impressive.
Terrell.
That was
Terrell
good.
Ray Ward Jr.
Yep, exactly.
Damn.
TJ.
We came on the pod. We said we should have said hey, how's it going, Terrell?
TR.
Yeah, TR.
TR is cool too.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It is cool. So great trivia question.
TR Ward
we
sounds
got two
like
of three.
author.
Oh yeah, definitely. That you just have to read.
TJ
the
Ward
book
sounds like a football player.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true. Next one from our guy, Pleasure Horse Bronco. Hey guys, excited to tune into your upcoming draft coverage. I have a philosophical question of fandom for you. Last night I went to the Nuggets game on a whim, which was my first ever NBA game. I live
Wow.
close to the Target Center in Minneapolis, and tickets were cheap because of the potential sweep. My question is, if for any reason you were to attend a game in enemy territory by yourself, are you trying to blend into the home crowd or be the lone rowdy one when your team scores? Cheers, Pleasure Horse Bronco.
Not even a question. I mean, I said me and Lexi were talking about going.
But then you have someone with you. When you're alone,
That's
it's kind of weird. I
I don't know. I
like
could
when
go sit
I'm
there with
when
my
I'm
broom.
talking shit at games, it's to get a laugh out of my friends.
Right.
Okay.
I don't
just
think I
wanna-
would be doing that if I was alone.
I'd scream. I'd do all that stuff and just bring my broom with and hang out up there.
That would have been so epic if we pulled off that comeback.
Yeah.
Oh man, 12-0 to close out
crazy.
regulation, all the momentum in the world. Man, I'll tell
The
you.
bank three is just garbage. It's the only reason they survived.
Do you think he called it? You think he said
Hell
bank?
no.
Yeah, that was the luckiest shot
Yeah.
of the night.
Yep.
And Anthony Edwards is legit.
Yep.
The rest of that team is. Tomorrow night, actually, here's my take from last night. Last night was not the most disappointing game for Denver sports because the Nuggets are going to come back, crush them tomorrow, and it's going to be 4-1. Most disappointing game was the Kings letting the Edmonton Oilers win.
Wow.
Because the Oilers, probably the Avs' biggest competitor to win the
They
West.
swept their asses last year.
Yeah,
Exactly. I can't get scared.
They're better, though, this year.
But they're a one-man team, and
They're like a
two-man team.
They're a star team.
but the thing is, if you cut the head off the snake, which is what Cale McCarr does to Connor McDavid,
True.
then they just have nothing.
And I mean, what? Because they won the first 3 games against Edmonton this year, and then the last game was in the last week of the season in
Yeah.
Edmonton, and Edmonton wins in overtime.
It meant something to the Avs, though.
I mean, it meant a lot to those fans there. They
Yeah.
win the game and they're just
Yeah.
going crazy, holy shit, we actually can beat the Avalanche, blah blah. Blah. And it's
Yeah.
they have such little brother energy when it comes to it.
I just like that Zach
I'd rather
is this
play them
tied
than the
in,
Kings.
dialed into the NHL
I know,
playoffs.
yeah, I do too.
I
I do too.
I'm loving it. And literally, both games went to overtime. Nuggets game ended. I flipped to the Kings
Yep.
game, and it had ended at the exact same time as the Nuggets because it was just a celebration at the end.
Kings
biggest
low-key
thing-
have a sketchy playoff history against the Avs. They've broke our hearts a couple
See,
times.
now you're just not making me feel good about either team.
I mean, it is the playoffs.
Well, the biggest thing with Edmonton is they have no defense, and also they keep having the same problem they
that's
had
true.
last year. They're trying to outscore their problems, and Connor McDavid's gonna get locked up by somebody eventually.
I want them.
oh, please.
There's literally
Please.
nobody
That's
in the
like saying you
West.
want Jordan. It's
me, if you-
scary as hell.
No, if Jordan had never won anything in his career,
well, he hadn't for a couple of years until he started winning everything.
Just like Jokic at 28.
See, I'm hoping. I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
me too.
how does
Was Jordan
MPJ not,
28 first
Yeah.
time he won?
how does MPJ
So is
not touch the
everybody.
ball again after making
It's
that
crazy.
3 to cut it? to cut it to 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was the good thing about the Nuggets is they played like a
they
really
were trash.
bad game.
It was
and they went to
terrible.
overtime in Minnesota. So
At
they're
the end of
fine.
every quarter except the third, I was like, how are we still in this? Like, the first quarter, we were atrocious. We're down by like 1 at the end of it.
Yep.
The second quarter, we were atrocious,
Yep.
up by 1 at the end of it. Third quarter, we got our asses kicked.
Yep.
And then fourth quarter, I was like, how are we here?
Yeah. Literally, I walk out of the room for 1 minute of basketball, and they've cut the lead to only down 1.
12-0 run in the last 2:22.
Yeah.
I might contend that Jokic going 5 of 8 from 3 was more valuable than winning last night.
Just to get the confidence.
Yes.
Or AG too. Like AG's been so hot from 3. I don't know about last night in particular, but like he's shooting more than 50% from 3 for the series. Now other teams are going to start guarding him, or at least have to consider
If
it.
Jokic hits threes, he's maybe the most unguardable person ever.
Yes.
I think he already is. Yeah.
And last one, because we got to go, from C. Fillmore 72 says, been watching all the draft prospect quarterback comps and clips in recent days, and I am bound to say that the University of Kentucky helmet design is the best in college sports.
Wow.
Best wishes from the UK, Christopher. And he's not talking
Wow.
about University of Kentucky. He's talking about like London, UK.
He's
and he's
biased
talking about
because of the UK.
He is.
The Buffs obviously have the best helmet in sports. And speaking of Kentucky, Buffs just got a transfer from there.
Oh,
Wow.
an SEC transfer.
Yes.
You love to see it.
When I
Vito
found out,
Tisdale, sick name.
well, that was one of those things when I started covering college football. I was like, okay, Kentucky calls themselves UK. That pisses me off.
Oh.
Like that's United Kingdom. Like it doesn't make. I really hated that. But then also they're in the SEC, which I think is just my bad geography, thinking like Kentucky and the SEC, like they feel like they should be Big 12 or like Big 10 or something.
Oh, then you're gonna hate the. Well, no, Oklahoma. Are they in the SEC yet, or is
They
that
will be next year.
about to happen? Yeah, then you're gonna
Yeah.
hate Oklahoma even
You're
more.
gonna
if
really
you're in
hate
SEC.
USC in the Big Ten.
Well, now it's all out the window.
That's very
Now none of
true.
it
But
even
Kentucky
matters.
has like Southern vibes, so it's okay for them to be.
But
in the
I always
SEC.
saw them
I
more
agree.
as like Nebraska type vibes,
No.
where it's like it's flat and farmy and
It's a lot more Southern than that.
Yeah,
apparently.
I think it's like the rolling hills Southern.
Yeah,
I think,
I don't know.
and then the CU is gonna be in the SEC soon, probably.
Big Ten.
Big Ten. Okay. Yep.
wow.
Yep. And we have one super chat from Mr. Orange saying, I missed the show. I'm just going to start it over now. Have a great day, fellas. You too, Mr. Orange. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Also,
you.
our good friend Cephas Johnson III. So they lost
CJ3.
48-42 in overtime in the second round of the playoffs. He was 19 of 30, 173 yards, 15 carries, 123 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
Any catches?
Yeah,
They'll
really.
show up on the page. Maybe
Couple
if I
of
zoom out
interceptions, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and play a little linebacker.
Wow.
I can't get it to show up.
He's a modern day Whizzer White.
Cephas Johnson. We touched on a lot of names today.
Oh.
I'm legitimately pumped for the draft.
I know. We have 2 days to get a bunch of more names out. I have so many of these like day 3 guys now because it's draft week. I'm so fired up.
Let's go. I'm fired up too. I love doing shows at night. I don't know why.
Oh, like the draft show's
Yeah,
coming
like
up.
the draft show, like the sun's down,
Yeah,
maybe have a
yeah,
little
yeah,
beer, you
yeah.
know. Those get me fired up.
Especially round 1 when I think hopefully for a lot of Broncos fans' sake, there's not any true Broncos moves going on, so it's more of a relaxed kind of
Yeah.
taken and the calm before
Laugh
the storm.
at the Chargers for doing something dumb.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll predict some dumb moves in the AFC
Dumbest
West.
move.
yeah,
How did the Chargers charger the
yeah,
draft?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
All right, is that all we got?
That's it.
That's all we got. This has been fun. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we will be back tomorrow.